Hi, my name is Nihal. Last year, I was working as a Node.js developer for a New Delhi-based company called IMAX Global Ventures. So one of the projects was particularly challenging because I had to work with an Oracle database instead of MongoDB, which I generally use for all of my Node applications. So the challenges I faced were I had no prior experience working with relational databases. In fact, I didn't even know how to write basic SQL queries back then. On top of that, I had to complete and deploy the application from start to finish with all the requested features within 25 days. Another downside that I faced in the project was I received little to no help from the tech leads at the company. So the goal of the project was to create a web application that can automate the process of generating and sending the reports to clients. So the first thing I did was to make a plan. Here's what it looked like. First, I had to learn how to integrate the Node application with the database. When using MongoDB, for example, we use a package called Mongoose that helps communication between the application and the database. So for Oracle, we found a package called Node Oracle DB. Then I had to understand the requirements and features of the project. Then I also had to create a proper architecture for the backend. We used the MVC architecture, where MVC stands for Model View Controller. Then I had to start writing the code and then test the features before deployment. We did two types of tests, unit testing and user testing. Unit testing, I personally wrote all of the tests, and then user testing was done by the employees at the company. So before moving forward, I would like to show you the features of the project. That way it would be easier to understand. So this is the login page. Once we enter the username and password, we can log in. So we can see all of the reports here. We can, if we click on any report, we can see the data. We can edit the report, meaning there are three different types of formats that each report can be seen in: tabular, summary, and matrix. So for this particular report, matrix format is not possible. So let us say we select tabular format, then we can select all of the different columns that we want to see and don't want to see. Then we can sort the different columns, then columns to total. We can also add in filters. And here we can change the name and the description. Since this is a default report, meaning this is a developer created report, the name and description cannot be changed. If the user selects something, configures the report in a particular way, then he can save it as a new report. And all of these new reports, they show up at the bottom of the page over here. So when I was given the task of creating this, I realized that all of these reports had similar functionality. Although their columns and the data is different, they all work in a similar way. So I wanted to avoid any kind of code repetition and create all of this functionality without as efficiently as possible without compromising on user experience. So avoiding code repetition is important because it is highly inefficient in terms of the time taken for development. So for that, I created a new data table in the database. So it looks like this. Each of the rows in this table represents one report. So we have the report code, report name. The slug is generated from the report name, and the slug is used for identifying each and every report. Say for example, we have the customer data report. It ends with the slug. So it is used for identifying particular reports. So then we have the description, then view nm. View nm stands for view name. It is the name of the table from which we need to fetch the data for this particular report. Then we have the view fields. View fields is the list of all the columns a report can have. Then report fields. Report fields is a subset of view fields. So these are the columns that the user selected he wants to see. So the next we have category. So category is shown in this bar on the left. So we have the production category, sales category. They're all divided nicely. Then we have the report format, which can be tabular, matrix, or summary. Then we have other options like sorting by, filter by, group by. Then if it's a summary report, then summary, sort by, and columns to total. all of these are for matrix type reports. So see that some of the fields are empty because for these particular reports matrix is not possible. So mat pos, if it is 0, then matrix is not possible. If it is 1, then it is possible. Then we have some other fields like date fields and delete pause. So delete pause is used for, see, developer created reports cannot be deleted, so delete pause is 0. If it's a user created report, then by default delete pause would be 1, meaning that if the user does not need this particular report in the future, then he or she can delete it. So the delete icon would not show up if it's a developer created report. So for example, all of these are developer created reports, so the delete icon does not show up. One of these reports is a user created report, so for this the delete icon does show up. So if the user does not need this in the future, then it can be deleted. So all of this functionality, the data behind the working of all of this comes from this table. So all of the CRUD functionality, CRUD stands for create, read, update and delete, was created very efficiently. Instead of having 30 different files on the server, one for each of these reports, all of this functionality was programmed into just a few JavaScript files. So, and the underlying data about each of these reports come from this table right here. So we use this data in the table to create the SQL query and fetch the data. So for example, constructing the SQL query, say the user requested for the customer data with a few filter and sort options. Then the SQL query would be constructed like select all of the report fields from the name of the table here, UNM, where we have the filter by options and order by sorting by. So although most SQL queries would be more complicated than this, this is the basic idea behind creating each and every SQL query. There are a few additional features in this as well. So all of these different icons, we have view, we have print, and we have download as Excel or mail as Excel. Once we click, we can enter the receiver's mail ID and it will be sent directly to the email ID. Then we have download as PDF, email as PDF, even WhatsApp. So we can send PDFs via WhatsApp as well. So let us say we download this as PDF. It takes some time. I think this is a big report. So here we have the downloaded report. It is 65 pages. Yes, it is quite big. And here we have all the data, meaning what the customer selected. All of these are the columns. And on each and every page, we have the date and the page number as well. So that's how this works. So the end goal and result of all of this was the clients really like the report generator. They can now download the reports on their own. It is saving the customer support staff at the company, IMAX Global, a lot of time because they don't have to deal with clients calling them constantly, repeatedly for help downloading their reports. So from all of this experience, I learned that 3 things basically. I used to work for more than 12 hours a day for all these 25 days. I would even work on Saturdays and Sundays. Even through all of this, at the end, it felt really good because I was proud of creating an application which was being used by hundreds of companies every day. And the next, it also helped me discover something about myself, that I love to be a developer because the work I did had a positive impact on a large scale. Because of this project, I had to learn Oracle, how to use Oracle with Node applications as well. So, thank you.